In a weird way, change is awfully tough for the comic industry. And you might say, why do you say weird? Well, I mean, creative industries in general, creative people are supposed to be more kind of early adopters, bleeding edge. They're supposed to be more open to change. But the opposite's really true. In the comic industry, change is tough, whether it's at the retailer level, at the publisher level. All that tribal institutional knowledge just gets kind of locked in and hardens like cement. And then before you know it, you're having just very, very strange arguments with people around any kind of evolution of the business. So, what do we do about that? How do we fix that? Hey everybody, this is Perch. What a fascinating time it is to be alive and see the world around us and see how these things are going. I mean, I'm going to go off of what feels like a tangent here, but I promise it's not. It is related to the main topic, and it's about human psychology, and it's just how people behave. We're watching this virus all go down in a very crazy, weird way. There's a lot of uncertainty. That's what's driving all of this. It's uncertainty. People don't have enough data to really know how to deal with the situation that's in front of them. And on top of that, we've lived for many years now of highly polarized politics and tribes. And so when people are unclear about what to do, when they're unclear on data, they turn to what they do know. And a lot of that is tribal, kind of very hardened news opinions. Remove your own ability to critically think, let other people do it for you. And we're in the middle of an election year that's going to be highly contentious. So we've got a very, very tough situation here where we're trying to grapple with the unknowns of this virus while simultaneously are on edge with each other over politics. And this is a horrible combo. But what's fascinating is that people are just not equipped to handle this kind of ambiguity and this kind of change. And it's hilarious right now. I say hilarious in a very painful way. It's not actually hilarious. It's more just painful. But I go into the grocery store. I live here in Washington State, one of the most restrictive states right now for the pandemic. We have a stay-at-home order that's extended into the end of May. The governor regularly kind of scolds us that it could go longer, probably will go longer, says things like, I don't know if school will be back in the fall. And there's just a lot of kind of very, very almost nanny state like approach to this whole thing. They also have to have my pet peeve. The governor keeps saying things like, we're going to deal with this with science. Okay, I'm on board with that. I would like us to deal with it on science, but then you need to explain what the science is. You can't just say the science and there be no data behind that. I don't know. The science is not enough of an answer. Like, we're making these decisions based on the science. I think everybody's like, yeah, okay, great. And so what science are we talking about here? What science? And then the governor's like, the science. It's a science. Are you questioning the science? Oh no, God no, we're not questioning the science. We believe in the science, but what science are we using here? Well, what if you're questioning that? Then you don't believe in science. That's kind of how the back and forth has been, which is like nobody's saying anything. But I go into the grocery store and everybody's wearing masks, or like I'd say 80% are wearing masks. And actually, it's interesting. I've got a grocery store in a more rural area. I'd like Safeway. I've got a Safeway in a rural area and a Safeway in a more metro area. In the metro area, people are walking around with masks on. They are spooked, wide eyes. There's just everybody's kind of on edge. I'm doing this self checkout thing, and the clerk that is kind of manning that station is like, "Back up, back up, back up!" She screams at me, and I'm like, "Whoa, what's going on?" Like, I have not sanitized that station yet. I'm like, okay. So she comes over and she starts spraying it with her Windex, which I have no idea if that's really helping anything. And she's wiping it down with a rag. I'm thinking that rag's wiped down like 5,000 surfaces already today. I don't know if this is really doing much. But I'm saying, she's like, and then she stops and she looks at me. She goes, "I need more distancing, more distancing." I'm like, what? Oh, shoot. I'm 4 feet away from her. She's wiping this thing down. But then she walked up to the station, just started wiping down, and then yelled at me to distance. And unless I take a couple of steps back, she finishes up. She scurries off to the next register and starts screaming at somebody else to distance. It's like, man, we are not handling this well. I mean, as a society, people are just not handling it well. What's going on with these people? Do they go home and they're like, God, the amount of just psychological insanity it's got to be in people's heads right now. It's crazy. But what does this have to do with comics? Well, similar things. Even when a common sense error elements are staring us in the face, like, hey, it's not a good idea to just have one distributor. Hey, maybe there's 80 comics a month is too many comics a month. Maybe this idea of stuffing the shelves is detrimental to comics. Hey, maybe putting a top tier artist on the cover and then garbage on the inside is you can't just say, hey, everybody has a different personal opinion, because this artist you picked for the inside doesn't seem to have a basic view of how anatomy works. I mean, it's like, this isn't Picasso, this is just bad drawing. Maybe all those things are bad. Maybe those things are detrimental to comics. Maybe not investing in any marketing is a bad idea. Maybe when they did that New Warriors book with safe space and screen time and these characters, maybe this isn't smart. But unable to grapple with new information, the industry just kind of barrels ahead. The resistance you saw from retailers and from some publishers at the notion that we have other options besides Diamond. I mean, Brian Hibbs as a guy is a fascinating guy. He's complained about Diamond tons, and then there becomes alternatives to Diamond. It's like, it wasn't just I don't like these alternatives. It's like I declare a blood feud forever on these alternatives. It wasn't just a passive dislike or a, hey, this isn't good yet, let's keep working at it until we get it right. It was a, I must murder it with fire right now forever. I would let Lunar never darken the skies again. That was the level of kind of discourse we got, which is weird considering how badly people needed and wanted Diamond to change. The same thing is true with the comic strategy. Marvel, as part of their strategy, their self-admitted strategy, by the way, this isn't me putting words in their mouth. Their admitted strategy was that they wanted to fill the shelves. They wanted to produce more comics than others. They wanted to, for lack of a better word, this part isn't their words. They want to choke out the rest of the market with books. That was their strategy. And now they have declared that some of their books are going to just go digital only. They're not going to publish as many books going into the summer, and they're just going to release on digital. And then, sure enough, here comes people going, oh my God, this is a sign that Marvel's weakening. They're about to die. This is a sign that they're about to end. Even some of the creators who have decried Marvel's "you're just publishing too much" strategy are suddenly going, oh, this is a bad idea. Well, what was the alternative? What is the alternative of "you're publishing too much" other than publish less? Once again, there's some retailers out there, same guys who are like, oh, this shows a betrayal of the comics market. If Marvel's not going to publish these books and they're just going to publish them on digital, this is going to erode the comics market. This is going to hurt the direct market. Except you were also saying 4 weeks ago that there were too many tie-ins, too many books. Several of you wrote articles on what did I don't remember these ICVT V2. You published articles talking about how the Empire with a Y, that there were too many tie-ins, too many books. So here comes Marvel saying we're going to produce fewer of those, and we're just going to put them out on digital, or it's already been commissioned, and you're angry. What do you want? I think that comes out. People struggle with change, and the comic industry, despite being more, I would say, liberally minded, more early tech adopters, more people with they claim, and it's true, their finger on the pulse of social media and human interest, and especially writers. Part of your job is to reflect the world around you, so they have to be in tune with the world around them. And they claim to be. And in many cases, they write stories which indicate they're at least trying to do that. And yet, when it comes to change, they get back to, well, no, we can't. We just need to do it the way we've always done it. It's amazing how many people advocate for solutions that people really didn't like in the 80s, but can't change now. That's ultimately when people ask me, what happens to the industry? What happens to comics? Is comics healthy? Or what needs to be done to comics? The biggest, commonest element is you got to be more open to change. You've got to be more open to the fact that some things are going to adjust. Because if you're not, you're just hanging on, you're clinging on to what is ultimately an industry in decline. Because here's the sad fact about anything: software, medicine, food, trends, shows, entertainment, whatever it might be. When it launches, almost everything starts to go on a downward trajectory. As it ages, it's like a car, it starts to devalue. Now, a few very, very lucky scenarios, the lucky things might become classics, might get more valuable over time, but most do not. Generally speaking, it's a downward slope. So if you're working in something, dealing with something, pushing a product in something, there's a downward slope. It might feel calm, comfortable, familiar to you. You might like the warm nostalgia of just keeping it exactly the way it is, but it's still something in decline. Change can't be frightening. Change has to be embraced. There has to be a strategy around change. If you have no strategy, then the change is just going to bulldoze you. You can't just write it down. I don't know. How do you deal with change? Leave me a comment below. Let me know your thoughts and how you grapple with this ever changing market, ever changing world in the comments below. Like, if you wouldn't mind to throw in a like on there. If you wouldn't mind subscribing. If you wouldn't mind telling a friend to subscribe, that would be great. Follow me on Twitter and Facebook at Comic Perch. And most importantly, thanks for listening.